Hey, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I am here with my co anchor, partner in crime, and sister Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
How's it
Excited
going?
to be here for our Wednesday case. It's good.
Yeah, blazing through the week.
We are. We are. I love it. I gotta say though, you're getting your softball mom raccoon eyes on pretty good.
Aren't I, though? Look at
Yeah.
this. Yeah, I know, and I really have tried. I had one weekend of falling off of the sunblock wagon, and this is what I get. I know. I'm a mess.
Dang it.
I am a mess. Yeah. I
Ah,
I really windburned the hell out of my lips too.
ooh.
But I have some lavender salve from Jade Bloom essential oils that I've been putting
Mm-hmm.
on. And I'll tell you what, I was mostly healed up overnight, which is
Nice.
amazing because windburn and me, we have a history. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So lots of stuff going on. My gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we have a really important case today.
Yeah.
And this is our MMIW case of the week. So, as you guys know, we have committed ourselves to doing one missing and murdered Indigenous woman case a week for this entire year
Right.
and continue to bring a lot more knowledge and awareness to the crisis in the US and in Canada and other countries with Indigenous women being murdered. The rate of violence against Indigenous women is astonishingly high. Like
It's the
like
third
the
cause
third
of death.
leading cause of death. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So as usual, we have
Did
a
get some
case
good
for you.
news though. I thought we should say on this show.
Yes,
Our
yes.
new Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland,
Mm-hmm.
was said she's setting up a task force to work on the
Mm-hmm.
MMIW problem, which I thought was
Yes,
super exciting.
I was so excited. I think we all were. We cheered when we saw that Deb Haaland was the new Secretary of the Interior
Oh my
because
gosh,
she should
so
be.
happy,
And she's
happy.
going to do some amazing things here. So,
She
yes,
will,
we're going to support the hell out of that and keep an eye on it.
most definitely.
Yes, without a doubt. So, this case deals with a ruling that came out last summer. I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit before we dive into the case. I'm going to do my best to explain it in some really general terms. You're definitely going to want to do your own research on it to fully try to understand. Unfortunately, there's a lot of not understanding yet. This
Mhm.
is the McGirt ruling. So this was McGirt versus Oklahoma. The Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court made this ruling last summer that the basically that the whole eastern side of Oklahoma is always has been and should be considered tribal land. And it hasn't been. It's been very muddy, the waters of what borders are whose. And mostly, I think, in an attempt to just, steal tribal land.
Mhm.
But they're saying, no, this really all, by law, by nature, is supposed to be tribal land. So with that happening, this is it's creating a lot of confusion about what applies to who now.
Great.
So basically, there are 100 tribes in Oklahoma. No, I'm sorry,
Wow.
38 federally recognized tribes. I think there at one time was 100. Anyway,
There are
38
38
federally.
in Oklahoma?
What's that?
That's amazing. I had no idea there were so many.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're not all indigenous to Oklahoma.
Mhm.
Only the Caddo, Comanche, Kiowa, Quapua, and Wichita tribes were actually indigenous there. So, there actually are 100 tribes that have come by force or by treaty. So,
Okay. So it
you
like on
heard,
combined reservations and stuff, is
yes.
that
Uh huh.
we have that here too.
Well, the word Choctaw, you're familiar with that? That's
Yeah.
the native. That's the native word for red people. And so that when they talked about the Choctaw being, in Oklahoma, that were all the red people that were forced to move there. Awful.
Mm.
Anyway, so but over time, their land has been kind of stripped away from them, and the boundaries of land weren't always falling within the boundaries of tribal consent. Anyway, so it's been a mess. And so anyhow, so it any rate, last summer, it ended up in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, yeah, no, that really is tribal land.
Wow.
So it's created now a lot of confusion about who owns what and who's in charge of what.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things it's creating a lot of confusion in is jurisdictional issues when it comes to crimes committed.
Of course.
Of course it is. Yep.
Because that's a huge mess all over the whole country
Yes.
that has got to be addressed,
Yeah.
like yesterday.
Well, and when it passed, as of last summer, the Violence Against Women Act was expired. And so there really was a serious gap in who was trying what and what was supposed to happen.
Well, basically, without it, no one can be tried in. If you come from outside a reservation into one, you can't. It's a big, long mess, that whole.
Right. So right now, Oklahoma and the tribes, basically they're trying to get the legislature to help them draft up some laws and rules to deal with, this ruling, to figure out who's supposed to do what so that things are done correctly. Okay. That is, I know, I probably botched the hell out of that. That is the best of my understanding. Unfortunately, there's a lot to not understand.
We are not attorneys.
Well, and there's a lot we just don't know yet because
Yeah.
they're still asking all of these questions.
Right.
But that law comes into play in this case. So I wanted to make sure that we did our best to understand what it means. Now, with the Violence Against Women Act being reinstated, that also is going to change the game here.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So with all of that being said, I want to just turn your attention now to Faith Lindsay. So Faith Lindsay was a 17-year-old living in Oklahoma, and she was living in Pauls Valley. 17, she was living with her 24-year-old boyfriend, Tanner Washington. There was trouble. This was in early 2019. There had been, the summer of 2019. There had been trouble with Washington. He was violent. There had been some domestic violence. Her family was extremely concerned. They tried and tried. In an interview, her sister Justice said, "We tried and tried to get her away from him. She was so young. She didn't realize, she didn't know what love was really, and she thought she loved him."
Mm-hmm.
And when they first started dating, he spoiled the hell out of her. He bought her all kinds of things. He was, constantly, spending way too much money on her, really showering her with bribery and compliments and things like that. Bribery, but, gifts and compliments and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then he would be very controlling and there'd be some kind of violent incident. I think that what we see here really is they replay the cycle of domestic violence over and over and over,
Yep, exactly.
where we have the honeymoon period where things are great. And then we have some tension and some things building, and then the big blow up, and then the honeymoon period, and
over and over again.
Over and over again. And so she'd get to that point where maybe she was done with him and ready to leave and go back home. And then, "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. And I'm going to buy you this and everything's okay." And, and she was 17, guys,
She was way too young to know, and
Yeah.
shouldn't even have been with a 24-year-old man to begin with.
No. And her poor family just were fit to be tied over it.
Yeah.
So he ends up getting some charges for domestic violence against her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets some charges for domestic violence against his sister.
Oh, wow.
He actually gets convicted. He pleads guilty in September of 2019 for some domestic violence against his sister. And Faith is actually listed as a witness.
Oh, wow.
And he pleads guilty. The judge gives him 2 years that, just held in abeyance, with, to just attend anger management and be on probation, but they don't actually put him in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So come the end of October, Faith stops showing up to work.
Mm.
And nobody is quite sure why. She works at Sonic. She's in school. She's getting straight A's. She's a super smart kid. She's just in this really bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, some things to know about Tanner. So, we know that Faith is alive in late October. Her family finally reports her missing on November 14th. When she went missing, as we know, he was on probation for domestic violence against her. So, we know that there were issues there. So that's one thing to note. So, as we know, again, she had been living with him. They were in Seminole County,
Okay.
Oklahoma. So, lots of people have said, like her manager from her job said that she had to intervene once when he showed up at Sonic and
Mm-hmm.
started bothering her.
Mm-hmm.
People that lived in their apartment building said that they had called the police before. They had to step in before. And so, it was pretty well known that there was a bad situation brewing here.
Yeah.
So then when she disappears, there's all of this, he does all of this weird shit. So he shows up at the home of a preacher that he knows within a day or two of her on October 29th, and tells him that his girlfriend has been shot in Sasakwa, a different town in Sasakwa. And they know this boy, but they also know that he's a heavy drug user and he was acting really weird. So they thought maybe he was just high, but it kind of stuck weird with them. And then the wife starts feeling like maybe this really should be reported. So she contacts the police and tells them, this kid was at our house. This is what he said. He says someone shot her. We don't really know what the story is, but it just seems really weird. So the officer he goes to Faith's work and discovers, of course, that she has not been to work.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been given a phone number for Faith. So he calls the phone number, and a male answers the phone by saying, "Faith, is that you?" And he says, "No, I'm Officer so and so, and who is this?" And he identifies himself as Tanner Washington. So Tanner has Faith's phone
Mm-hmm.
by, on the 29th of October. So he tells Tanner, who he is and asks about the situation with Faith. Tanner says he took Faith to work at 2:50 p.m. at Sonic and returned 2 hours later to bring her a drink, and she wasn't there. And her coworker said she never came to work that day. And then he says that he's been driving around for 2 days looking for her, and that Faith messaged him and called him around 2 or 3 in the morning, but he was asleep and didn't get the call. And when he woke up and tried calling her back and messaging her, she wouldn't respond to him.
And yet he had her phone, so he could have made the call and then sent the message.
Right. So then he asks Tanner if he has reported Faith missing or shot, and he says yes. And he's asked if he has the message about her being shot, because he says that he received a message from someone saying that she has been shot and she's never coming home. So he's telling everybody a little bit of a different story.
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially, he says that someone has sent him a message saying that she's been shot and she's never coming back. I don't,
Mm.
it looks like he was never actually able to produce that when they asked him for it, but this is what he's saying. So they arrest him. They arrest him on the 29th and charge him with obstructing and lying about a case, lying to the police, basically.
Lying to the police, basically.
Lying to the police. And so the police say that his story changed at least 3 different times over the course of interviews with investigators.
Sure.
So, and there's this big confusion around. First, he says he drops her off on Sunday, October 27th, never sees her again. Then he says, no, that was actually on the 28th. Well, it sounds like her work says she was there on the 28th. It's just so crazy.
Mm.
So late in the day on the 29th, they do arrest him. And yes, they charge him with making a false report of a crime and obstructing an officer.
Mhm.
So at this point, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation gets involved to try to help find her and figure out what happened to her.
Mhm.
And they ask people, they start searching, like searching everywhere to see if they can find anyone who has seen her and
Mhm.
when they saw her.
Sure.
So he is sentenced to a $6,000 bond, or not
Oh,
sentenced to.
but
He's
given.
held on a $6,000 bond, and he makes bail. Because someone is dumb enough to help this dumbass. So he makes
Right.
bail, and so he's out for a full month. He's ordered to come back and appear in court on December 3rd, and he doesn't show.
Well, of course he doesn't.
Yeah. So a bench warrant is issued for his arrest on December 6th. And they do finally put him back in jail. It's just so stupid that he got out at all.
Mhm.
But he also has been texting at this, through that time, Faith's sister.
Mhm.
So texting her, first telling her he can't reach Faith,
Mhm.
and telling telling her that he's freaking out. He can't find her anywhere. He doesn't know where she's gone.
Mhm.
So, and her family is kind of on the other end of this, also trying to report her missing. And
Sure.
uh, so Justice gets a bunch of messages, supposedly from Lindsay's phone, but they don't sound like Faith.
Mhm.
She says she was misspelling a lot of things.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that
not
wasn't,
Lindsay, Faith.
what's that?
You called her Lindsay. It's Faith.
Oh, Lindsay, what in the world?
That's her
Oh,
last name.
Justice Lindsay. That's her last name. Good God. Okay, come on. So Justice is the sister. So she says that Faith was texting her, but it was really weird. It's not the kind of text she would normally get from her. She was misspelling everything and had bad punctuation, and that wasn't Faith.
Mhm.
Faith spelled everything. She had great punctuation. She spelled everything right. This was not the kind of way that she would text.
Mhm.
So it was odd, and the messages were odd. And then she didn't hear from her again after
Mm.
that. So
Like,
all
maybe
of
about
it
the
just
time the cops got a hold of that phone?
mhm.
Mm.
So all of it just isn't really making sense. So the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation offers a $5,000 reward for info, but no info is coming.
Mm.
So eventually, Tanner is charged with murder. They decide that they have probable cause that he is responsible for her murder. So now
Mhm.
at this point, they aren't looking for her alive anymore. They are
Mhm.
looking for her body. And this is on December 20th, 2019.
Is this based on any evidence or just an assumption because they haven't found her for so long?
It's based on evidence that it has not been released, as far as I can tell.
Gotcha,
There's
okay.
nothing that I can come up with that is telling us why, but they're saying that they have reason to believe that Washington is responsible for her murder, and they are searching for her body.
Okay.
So again, that was on December 20th, 2019. As of right now, her body has not been found. So he's been in jail all this time.
Right.
There has been no sighting of the body, of course.
Mhm.
And now the case was slowed way down because of COVID, you know, like a lot of cases this last year. It's just kind of sat in
Right.
limbo. There were a few things done, but not a lot, right? Well,
Mhm.
they made it to court today, this morning,
Mm.
because this the charges were filed against him by the state.
Mhm.
Well, his defense is saying that due to the McGirt ruling, the state has no right to charge her or charge him
Oh.
because they lack jurisdiction.
Oh my gosh.
So they go to court this morning, and due to the McGirt ruling, the state has no choice but to dismiss the charges.
No.
So the charges were actually dismissed this morning. Now
Oh.
yeah. So here's what they did do. They gave a 30-day stay And so he's going to remain in the Pontotoc County Jail
Good.
to give the federal jurisdiction time to file charges. So it is the federal jurisdiction now that should be in charge of filing charges, but they have 30 days to decide and file charges before this dude's back out on the street.
Oh my gosh.
So that is of today, April 5th, 2021. That's what happened this morning. So it's not a surprise, but at the
No.
same time, her friends and family are in a state of absolute distress.
Yes.
So here's what you can do. There is a phone number that you can call to urge the Attorney General's office to file charges. So we're going to put it in the details of this case so that you guys can see it. And if you are so moved, if you live in Oklahoma, absolutely do this. This is in the Eastern District of Oklahoma. If you're not, still do this. Just call the number and tell them that you believe that they need to take up this case and charge Tanner Washington. If they don't, in 30 days, he will be released. Now, they could still charge him at a later date, but, you know, he could in 30 days take off too. We don't know what's going to happen here. This is a mess. So that's where we are. So, Kristi, it's not much of a cold read, but it is because we still don't actually know what happened to her. So I think let's take a break. When we come back, I'm just going to ask you to take a look at what do you think happened and where do you think Faith is? Because again, there is still no body recovered in this case. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back.
Hi, I'm Kristi Brower, podcaster and professional psychic. I have spent the last 14 years honing my skills as a psychic and a healer. I work on the Purple Ocean app. You can find it in any of the app stores. And I am available every day for video and chat readings. I specialize in pattern breaking, particularly in relationships, but really in any area of your life. If you're feeling stuck and like you can't move on or you can't let something go, I am the reader for you. That is exactly what I focus on. It's what I love to do. I love to help stuck people get moving, and I've been doing it for many years and have been very successful at it and can do that for you as well. So if you are having trouble letting go of a relationship or a fear or a challenge of any kind in your life, come see me at Purple Ocean and we will do everything we can, me and my guidance system and my intuition and you, because it's always a package deal that we work together, but we will find a way to break that pattern for you. So come see me over at Purple Ocean and let's break your patterns.
All righty. Yeah, welcome back. This is True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and we've been on a quick break. We're coming back for Kristi to offer us a cold read in the case of Faith Lindsay. This, of course, is an ongoing case. We learned just this morning that the person that's been charged in this case, Tanner Washington, her former boyfriend, that the charges have actually been dismissed in this case due to jurisdictional issues, and we're hoping that we can see the federal government pick up this case and continue to prosecute Tanner. That's where it's at. But Kristi, what do you think? What happened here?
Well, I mean, yeah, he definitely killed her, right? It's not like there's a real question about that.
No.
I don't think he meant to kill her. I feel that there was a domestic incident. It was he hit her, she fell, you know, there's no one got shot. He says the whole she got shot thing. This is all just him trying to deflect attention from himself very badly, by the way, very badly. But he's panicking, and that's why he's done all this stupid stuff that doesn't make any sense. This was not a premeditated, planned murder. This was an accidental murder during a domestic violence assault. And now he's freaking out about what to do. And he makes up all this stupid stuff and he uses her phone to text and call him as though that isn't completely obvious. Her body is buried. Her body is buried, and it's like a big open field. And I think that's kind of all of Oklahoma. So I'm sorry to say that I don't have like a real good like idea of where she is, because Oklahoma is just like, you can see from one side to the other, right? It's real flat.
Yeah.
But it's somewhere out away, quite a long ways from any town. I'll tell you though that he didn't do a good job, and that her body is going to show up, because as with everything else, this dude's not real bright.
Mm-hmm.
And he buried her very shallowly out where the elements and predators are going to unearth her. And her body is going to turn up here in the next year or so. But I mean, yeah, he most definitely killed her.
But yeah. Okay. Well,
I feel like they've found evidence in the house and the car, maybe both, of her body where he transported her.
mm-hmm.
I think there was blood. I think she died very quickly. This wasn't like a torturous death. It was very fast. I feel like there was some kind of a head injury that happened real quick.
Mm-hmm. He did tell prosecutors that he thought she might be getting ready to break up with him. And we know that in domestic violence, the most dangerous time in a woman's life would be when she's trying to leave.
Yeah. And he's, he's just a terrible criminal who has no idea what to do in this situation. And I don't feel it's actually going to be difficult to find her eventually or to convict him. I mean, I think those things are definitely going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a bump in the road with the change in jurisdiction, but I do feel like that the feds are going to charge him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. I do too. I think that because of all the heat on MMIW right now at the federal level, and because of the McGirt ruling that's kind of got things confused and weird right now, I don't think they would dare not.
Right.
I hope that's true. I hope they don't.
Well, and I think the more publicity we can give this case, the better. So please share it. Please, call the number, encourage your friends to call the number. Let's make sure that this dummy doesn't get off for what he's done here.
Keep sharing Faith's story. Let's get loud about it. Let's make sure. That there's no question that he does not get out, that he does get charged again, and that this happens. Absolutely.
Well, and at this point, this is federal prison we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Federal prison.
Yep.
My sense is that the feds are going to come in and get a deal. They're going to cut a deal with him and get him to confess. I just feel real strongly that they're going to, when they come in and he realizes that because of these changes now, this is like the FBI or whoever, dealing with this, and it's going to be federal prison. I feel like he's going to give it up.
Good. I really, really hope that's true.
Yeah.
His defense might not have. They rolled the dice on getting this case dismissed, hoping that the feds just wouldn't pick it up. And
right.
I'm hoping that was a really bad bet.
I think it's probably the only bet they have. I mean, what else have they got? They're not getting him out of jail.
No.
They've got evidence against him.
He did all that weird shit when she went missing, lying to the police and to everyone else.
Making up those stories and faking texts and calls and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
So I'm sure his defense is like, well, this is all we've got.
Yeah.
Here's a Hail Mary or a swing for the fences.
Yep. I agree. Totally. So much love to her family. One of the things that he told prosecutors or detectives was that she was trying to get away from her family. That's why he came to live with her. I think that is utter horseshit. I feel like he, in a very typical domestic violence situation, was trying really hard to alienate her from her family and to gaslight her about her family. This girl has people that love her. They have people that are she has people that are heartbroken, that want justice, that just want her to come home.
Right.
That want this nightmare to be over, that wish this had never happened. I mean, she has people that love her and that are grieving. And he has said things that I think are so not just cruel, but completely untrue.
Well, and intentional, because he knew that would just really hurt to hear.
Yep.
From her family members.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Or for them to hear.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. So
little shit. Jeez.
Yeah. Right. So come on, feds, go get him.
Go
All
get
right.
him.
So call the number. Call the number. Do your part. Let's all just pour on as much pressure as we can. Again, it'll be right here in the description of this video and or of this podcast so that you guys can, if you feel drawn, let's do it. Let's make sure that Tanner gets what he needs to stay, get prosecuted and to stay in prison. And let's make sure that Faith gets justice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All righty. Well, this is our Wednesday case. We will be back tonight with live case updates at 7 p.m. Pacific. Mountain will be back at 7 p.m. Mountain on Thursday night for the psychic hour. We'll have a couple of pop-ups coming up this weekend. We've been doing them for the last few weeks. You guys just keep telling us how much you love seeing them. So we're going to keep them going as best we can. We're busy girls, but we're going to do our best. So that's what's happening. There's a new Patreon case that was released at the last part of last week. And there'll be another one coming here very soon. So keep an eye on that.
And that new one's called Dead as a Doornail, if that, makes you interested at all in hearing it.
I said, do we dare call this dead as a doornail? And Kristi said, we shouldn't, but I want to. And I said, well, we are the masters of our own destiny.
Yes, we are. Oh, boy.
So there you go. All righty, you guys. Take care. If you want to learn more about us, head over to truecrimeparanormalpodcast.com. Like, share, comment, really share this one. Let's really help be a signal boost for Faith. And have a good one, guys. Take care. This has been True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.